Hulk smash! Oh dear, yes. You know when you think you have a good idea in your head, think, oh yeah, this would be a fun idea for a thumbnail. Well, good idea in concept, not so good in execution. I thought I was serving Incredible Hulk realness, but turns out I'm serving more Kermit the Frog realness, who we all know is the Hulk's skinny, more funny cousin. So, should we get on with the review? Yay! Hey up guys, so continuing the Marvel movie marathon, today I'm going to be talking about Louis Leterrier's The Incredible Hulk, which is a film which often gets lost or forgotten about when people discuss the MCU. Maybe because it's not on Disney Plus, so it's harder to find, or maybe it's because people love Mark Ruffalo's interpretation of Bruce Banner / The Incredible Hulk, so they don't feel the need to revisit Edward Norton's solo outing as the Hulk. I don't know. Regardless, this film still gets a bad rep, but after rewatching it last night, I have to say, I didn't mind it. Sure, it's nothing particularly mind-blowing, it is quite generic, it definitely has its faults, but it is a fun popcorn flick, and it's got some good performances in it, and the action is well shot. Controversial opinion, but when it comes to ranking the Phase 1 films, I would probably put this higher than Iron Man 2 and Thor. If that's something that you guys want, a ranking of all the MCU movies, then do let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you like the video, hit like, and if you like seeing me make a tear out of myself, don't forget to click subscribe. I kept all kinds of shenanigans on this channel. What's great about seeing The Incredible Hulk 12 years after its release and seeing it comparatively to its many brothers and sisters is that it really does stand out in the pantheon of MCU movies in terms of style and tone. The look and the feel of this film feels distinctly unique. It definitely has its own set of flavors. Some might say that's a bad thing and that it sort of sticks out comparatively to the other Marvel films, but I still think it fits in with the universe, but it just feels a little bit different, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Marvel movies are known for being bright and playful. The Incredible Hulk doesn't really tick either of those boxes. It takes itself quite seriously, and that's because the star of this film, Edward Norton, who plays Bruce Banner, had a heavy hand in the creative input of how this film was made. But there was a decent enough script from Zach Penn, who went on to co-write The Avengers with Joss Whedon, and also Louis Leterrier's background in action movies, he's the one that directed the Transporter movies, helped make The Incredible Hulk feel like an exciting cat-and-mouse chase thriller. What I liked about Zach Penn's script is that he doesn't waste time telling the audience information that they already know. He puts all the necessary exposition into this opening credits montage sequence. We see the accident of how Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk, and we're also introduced to all the characters. Bruce Banner, played by Edward Norton, his girlfriend Betty Ross, played by Liv Tyler, and her father, the military general, General Ross, played by William Hurt, who's the one that funds Bruce Banner's research and then ends up being the one that's hunting him down. After Bruce's accident and he sees the Incredible Hulk with his own eyes and sees what it can do, he wants to extract the Hulk from Bruce Banner and weaponize it. Bish bash bosh, when the credits are done, we cut to Bruce Banner. He's on the run, he's living in a shantytown in Brazil. He's learning how to control his emotions through breathing exercises while also trying to find a cure for his condition. Eventually General Ross catches up to Bruce and he sends in Sergeant Blonsky, who's played by Tim Roth, who is a renowned fighter, who's also been injected with a similar super soldier serum which Captain America had, and he's been tasked with retrieving Bruce. However, the serum that he's been injected with turns out to be a bad batch, and it slowly ends up mutating him into this creature known as Abomination. He's this big, ferocious thing, and the only thing that can stop him is the Incredible Hulk. So what did I like about this film? Well, for starters, I really appreciated the performances. I think Ed Norton makes a fantastic Bruce Banner. He brought a lot of nuance to this tortured scientist who's trying to control something that's like a force of nature. He is great here, and the same has to be said about Liv Tyler as Betty Ross. She is wonderful here. They have fantastic chemistry. A lot of credit has to go to her because this is a smash 'em up action flick, but it's also a love story between these two characters, and she has some scenes where she's literally just interacting with the CGI Hulk, but never do you think, oh, she's not still in love with Bruce, even when she sees him as this monster. It gives the film that sort of Anne Darrow King Kong romance, as well as like a Beauty and the Beast vibe, and I really love that. This film has a surprising amount of heart. The action scenes are also done very well. There's an exhilarating chase scene on top of the rooftops of the shantytown in Brazil, but the stunt work in that chase scene was done great, and Bruce Banner's rising heart rate gave it more suspense, which I liked. There's only 3 action scenes in this film with the actual Hulk, and what we do get is pretty satisfying. The first reveal of the Hulk I thought was quite effective because Leterrier wisely chose not to show too much of the Hulk. He keeps him in the dark for most of the scene, which is clever because not only does it add suspense and intrigue as to what he looks like, but also it allows the audience not to be overwhelmed with how much CGI there is later to come, because the other two action scenes with the Hulk have an abundance of CGI, so he's used quite sparingly in the first action scene, which I thought was quite smart. The final showdown between the Hulk and Abomination in Harlem, New York is just two humongous blobs of CGI battling it out. And like I said before, that can get quite boring quite quickly, but thankfully there's enough creativity to keep it fresh. The Hulk smashes a police car in half and then uses either half as like two boxing gloves, and he also manages to put out a fire with just a clap of his hands. Yeah, like that. Hulk clap! I mean, I call bullshit on that. I also think The Incredible Hulk does a better job of MCU setup than Thor or Iron Man 2 did. There's nods to Nick Fury, Stark Industries, S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as Super Soldier Serum, but all these things are just either delightful Easter eggs in the mise-en-scène, or they're just casually referenced, like fan service. It doesn't draw too much attention to them, so The Incredible Hulk does feel like part of the MCU, but it still very much feels self-contained. Yeah, when you watch The Incredible Hulk, it definitely feels different to the other Marvel movies. There's more sweeping helicopter shots, which you don't see in Marvel movies, as well as the aesthetic of the film has a very swampy green tinge to it all the way through. As for negatives, the common occurrence in Phase 1 is underwhelming villains, and the same has to be said about The Incredible Hulk. I mean, it had potential. If this film had gone more of the route of having just General Roth as the main antagonist, then that could have been more interesting, because he has a personal connection to Bruce Banner. He also has an emotional stake because Bruce Banner was romantically involved with his daughter. That makes her a really interesting, complex villain. However, when you're watching The Incredible Hulk, you can tell that they're forcing the storyline to be more on Sergeant Blonsky, who just has no connection to Bruce. He's not as interesting, and his motives are just he wants strength and power. That's just kind of meh. I understand why they went that way with Sergeant Blonsky, because this is a Hulk film and we want to see Hulk smash and fight something that's just as strong as he is. But again, it's just a little bit lackluster. Right, let's ask them questions. Would I recommend it or skip it? I'm gonna recommend this one. I don't think this movie is as bad as people make it out to be. Sure, it's not perfect, but there is fun to be had watching it, and in the pantheon of the MCU, it really does feel distinctly different to all the other Marvel movies in a good way. I think, like Bruce Banner himself, this Incredible Hulk film is a little bit misunderstood. I'm gonna recommend it. And last question, what score am I gonna give out of 10? I'm going to give The Incredible Hulk a score of 6 out of 10. There we go, guys. That was my review of The Incredible Hulk, but as always, this is just one green blob's opinion. I really want to hear from you guys about all things related to the Hulk. What do you think of this Incredible Hulk film? Is it good? Is it trash? Is it misunderstood? And in terms of Hulk movies, where does it rank for you? Is it better or worse than the Eric Bana version? And also, do you want to see a solo Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo? Whatever you think, be sure to let your voices be heard in that comment section down below. As always, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to, hit subscribe. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, any social media, you can find all that information in the video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time. Hulk smash!